During the mid-1970s, Atari released many great games for the arcades. And in 1977, Atari released the home video game console that would later be known as Atari 2600, and with it came 9 games at launch, one of which was INDY 500, the racing game that themed around the Indianapolis 500 and was based on the earlier arcade racing game by Atari, INDY 800. I'm part of a challenge named the 20 Game Challenge, in which you recreate 20 existing games. In this video, I'll show you how I remade INDY 500 in Godot. This game was actually my favorite so far. I love racing games, but it was mainly because of 2 systems that was super fun and satisfying to create. The first was the car handling. After setting the project up, I started with a basic car script. I found a great guide as a starting point from the Kids Can Code website and used it as a basis. And then I modified and improved it to make the car feel great to drive and easy to improve and adjust. I moved some of the parts of the car script into a car properties resource, so that I could in theory switch out a car settings with another one and it would just work. One part I really enjoyed was to use drag, friction, and engine power to calculate the max speed of the car. I used this to then apply some side slip depending on how fast you were driving, which made the car feel a lot more real. This was a rabbit hole I loved exploring, and I learned a thing or two about physics and math formulas. So now I had a car that I was super proud of. The second system that was fun to make and that I ended up super proud of was the tracker, the timer, lap, sector, and checkpoint system. The easy part was to add the second car to drive around with, but then it took some time and iteration to get the tracker to work with both cars in 2 modes, time trial and race. I actually had the Formula 1 games as an inspiration for the UI, how the time trial worked and the use of sectors, and I had plenty of fun getting it just right. The tracker class is responsible to keep track of where the assigned car is positioned in a given mode. It uses checkpoints to define sectors, sectors to define a lap, and laps to determine the process and position of a car during a race or time trial. At the end of it all, I'm very pleased and satisfied with the result. The track was planned to be simple, since it should all fit in one static screen. So I created the sprites for the asphalt, grass, dirt, and some racing curb. With it, I built out a decent and curvy track to make it as interesting I could with the limitations I had. To penalize the player for going out of the track, I made a slower area class, which extends an area 2D and slows down the car by increasing the car's friction while inside this area. I also modified the UI a bit during this step and added a countdown timer before starting the race. Now, when the game was pretty much done, I only had some finishing touches left, one of which was audio. I added audio for the tracker system, so for the countdown timer and starting, when passing a checkpoint or finishing a sector, and when finishing a lap or session. I added some simple engine sound for the car, and of course added some energetic music. At this point, I also implemented a saving system so that your track times were saved and the best lap could forever be something you want to brag about. Lastly, I added an icon and a splash screen. Sometime after finishing the game, I returned back to it to make it more copyright friendly. But since I've already made everything myself and made it quite unique, I only had to change the name of the game and modify the splash screen to have the new name, Rally Racer. And now I was done with yet another game. The game is playable on itch and the source code can as always be found on GitHub. Both links are in the description below. I hope to see you soon when I recreate the classic Pac-Man. But that's all for now. Bye.